Hi, welcome to Downshift. My name is Matt. This is the Audi E-Tron S. The Audi E-Tron. Many of you may not remember this, but back before the world was pushed in the direction of EVs, Audi was one of the first to bat with this E-Tron. It was one of the first EVs to offer dual motor all-wheel drive, a spacious and genuinely luxurious cabin, and a usable real-world range. But here we are years later in the zipped-up S version, so let's see how the Pioneer has reacted to a crowding segment. Well, first of all, crowded segment might be a bit of a misnomer. This E-Tron actually finds itself as a bit of a tweener. It's larger than things like Model Ys and GV60s, but it's smaller than things like Model X's. And this is the sleekified sportback model. And that sleekified sportback design has a benefit over the more conventional long roof E-Tron, and that's more range. Although, that said, range isn't what the current market would consider abundant. At 212 miles of range, it's on the lower end of the spectrum. However, this is the tri-motor, that means 3-motor, S version, which means it's the fast one. And the last fast EV we were in was the Kia EV6 GT, which only brought about 206 miles of range, so just some context for you. Yes, we're used to seeing the fast version of things have lower range figures by having more powerful motors sucking the range down faster. However, Audi takes things a step further by installing a third motor in the rear for even more power, 496 horsepower and 718 pound-feet to be exact. Which makes it quick. Audi claims about 4.3 seconds to 60 in this thing, but people have done about 3.9 in independent testing. But back to the tri-motor thing. One in front, two in back, and that allows Audi to equip something like torque vectoring, which allows it to overdrive that outside wheel to get this thing around a corner and rotate more aggressively. This thing may be 6,000 pounds, which is pretty heavy, but you know what? Muscle weighs more than fat. Another thing that helps the car feel athletic is the adaptive air ride suspension. It's got a self-leveling feature which keeps the chassis in a nice neutral stance while you put corner load through these tires. But you know what else it does? Keep things really comfy. And this is something I love about the Audi Sport models. They may not be as sharp or aggressive as an M car or an AMG, but when you're not beating on it, the Audis settle down and just become luxury cars in such a better way. If you want to have your cake and eat it too, you probably want to head to the Audi lot. The ride is excellent, the cabin isolation is superb, the steering weights up and softens off in a very natural way. And the best part of all is the way it builds power. It builds power much more naturally rather than snapping your neck and flipping your stomach upside down like a Tesla might. But let's step outside and cover some of the finer details. Okay, so it's quick, but the thing that stands out to me is just how good of a car it is. It's not a good EV, it's a good car that happens to be electric. And it's something that makes its value proposition based on something more than just an outright and outrageous 0 to 60 time. Despite it being an electric car, the design remains very Audi, and I really like that. It has a familiar grille. Of course it's sealed off for aerodynamics, but it looks good. You have e-tron stamped in the bottom. And then your lower valence has some cooling for the battery and front motor. You get functional silver accented aero bits bringing air around your front wheels. And of course that silver is more of a dark chrome as per the black optics package. And you do technically get a frunk, but since this is a Q5 chassis, it's not huge. But of course the best thing about the face is the digital matrix headlights, which do all sorts of dances and work with your driver assist systems, etc. Around the side you have flared wheel arches for the S model, and those wrap around massive 22-inch wheels that are just gorgeous. And then you look above the wheel and you see an e-tron charge port. There's actually two, one on each side. The driver's side has the combo port for fast charging, and the passenger side just has a normal outlet. This is a good time to tell you that the S version gets a 95 kilowatt hour battery, and with DC fast charging up to 150 kilowatts, You'll charge 10 to 80% in just 30 minutes. And then the profile is the very sleek sportback shape that we're used to seeing. And then your S wing mirrors are black as per the black optics package we talked about earlier. And then around back you get a very stylish full width LED taillight with its own animations. And since this is the Sporty S version, you get a more aggressive diffuser. And in case you're interested, this thing can tow up to 3,300 pounds. If it's me personally, I think I prefer the more traditional long roof body style, but the Sportback definitely fits the personality of this more aggressive S version. And there's an actual practical benefit because it's more aerodynamic, which means you get more range. But with that, let's step inside. And then another place that I'm thankful for the consistent Audi-ness is on the interior here. The design is futuristic and familiar, and you don't have to take a college prep level class just to understand how the infotainment system works like you would in a Tesla. The cabin design here is familiar, but that also means you get familiar build materials, aka really nice stuff. Leathers, aluminums, Alcantara. And can we take a second to appreciate this rich red interior? This is equipped with the Prestige package, which means you get all the goodies. Heated seats, heated steering wheel, heated rear seat, and a massive panel roof that actually opens. I mean, you don't get that anywhere else on an EV. Quad zone climate controls, nice. Bang & Olufsen 3D audio, amazing. Soft closed doors, and crisp ambient lighting. And then you have great tech features too, like a nice head-up display, Audi's amazing digital cockpit, which is 12 inches, and you have a 10-inch infotainment screen with wireless CarPlay. And you get 360 cameras with augmented reality, and under that is a 9-inch display dedicated to climate and comfort. The cabin is just a great place to spend time. And then there's the rear seats, which are huge. Headroom isn't exactly ideal over 6 foot due to the more sloped sportback design, but legroom is great. You get your own climate controls and vents back there, and you get heated rear seats, and the sunshades. And then there's the trunk, which itself is huge and really deep, and despite the sloped roof, it actually is nice and big and practical. And you have a massive cubby under the floor. But if that weren't enough, you have rear seats that fold 3 different ways. I mean, from space to comfort to luxuries to technology, this e-Tron doesn't really miss. So with that, let's get into the final thoughts. So there it is, the Audi e-Tron S. It's a great car that happens to be electric. The only thing that detracts from its $105,000 as tested price is the range. At 6 figures, I might want more range. However, this e-Tron is great everywhere else. So thanks to Audi Milwaukee for letting me have a go.